now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during your term of office?
I do. Thank you. Congratulations. Appointments come about through commissioners and also the judiciary of the county and judges.
Jennifer Doss as Vice President and Mary Jo Waite as Secretary.
December 14th, 2020 minutes.
Immediately after from the president's reminding everybody that the board has nothing to do with who gets appointed. It speaks volumes to the cronyism that's been involved with this board and is particularly in educational leadership in the spring of 2021. Not only was she and the other candidate not fairly considered, they were not notified that their applications had been received. They were not interviewed. They were not told they had not been selected. Because Mr. Humphrey is united to crony system. Ms. Hess and the other candidate had extensive descriptions of what they thought they could bring to the board. Hopefully you've seen those applications. I put them online. I know you guys don't select the people, but at some point we've got to address the rampant cronyism of boards in Claremont County. Her description impressed me with what she thought she could bring to the board. The other candidate, a woman named Emily Mason, actually wrote more. She wrote like almost a half page to a full page of what she thought she could bring to the board. When answering the question that they had answered so thoroughly of, please state your reasons for applying to the board, Mr. Humphrey's reply, one line, would like to continue my community service. Would like to continue my community service. It speaks volumes about the cronyism. It speaks volumes about appointing people based on who they know, not what they can bring to the table. Let me move on to the second topic that I want to cover. By the way, I think, Mr. Humphrey, you should resign. Let somebody more competent, more capable, and that is starting out, not finishing up their career. It's time to retire. Let's talk about unionization. A little more than a year ago, on January 2020, Mr. Braun and I had lunch at Ruby Tuesdays in River's Edge. We talked about a range of things. One of the things we talked about was what had happened in March of 2019 when Mr. Braun had agreed to Emmy Steel Pierce that he was going to resign. When she found out that he had lied to those people who were on the board at that time in a 2-hour executive session that I believe took place in October 18th of 2018, and there was no trust left between her and Mr. Braun. He never resigned on that day. I wanted to know why he had never resigned on that day. He didn't follow through. You might remember those who were involved. Commissioner Painter walked in the middle of the meeting. Judy Casika was on your board in that meeting at that time. Mr. Braun told me at lunch that day, when I pressed him on, why don't you resign now, Joe, that he couldn't resign because this board could not function without him. That without him, this board could not get its work done. I told him at that time, and I'll repeat now, that's absurdity, that's arrogance, that's ridiculous. It's time to break the logjam on this board. It's time for Mr. Humphrey to go, I know he just got here. It's time for Mr. Braun to go, and for people to be appointed based on merit. You can't control that, Mr. Cardinal, as you said. You have to accept the appointees that are brought to you by the judges and the commissioners. But I hope that this board would partner with people like me in saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have got to stop the cronyism that holds back Claremont County and holds back this board. Another one I'll mention is Judy Casika. Judy Casika has missed over half of the meetings because of an accident in the last year, and almost 40% of your meetings in the last 2 years. She doesn't use a computer. I don't think somebody can be effective on the board, other than as a spy for the commissioners, when they're not technologically savvy in a library system in which technology is the break of cronyism on this board. And you know the friction that exists between this unfairness of people who are protected and paid more, while people that are more competent end up getting paid less. That sometimes, as with the